It is three-man front on this Wednesday. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Thanks for tuning us in. So much to get into. College football playoff rankings last night. Not that there was any kind of big controversy. Still waiting for that, but we'll get into that. Later on this hour, we will talk to Vegas insider, MajorWager.com's Brian Edwards. Voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart at 11. Trey Wallace, who broke that story about Mack Rhodes, who's the athletics director at Baylor University, who is also the chairperson of the College Football Playoff Committee that we saw last night on television. Broke that story about his altercation on the sideline with Michael Trigg Jr. So we'll get into a lot of that, but we're going to spend the first portion of the show kind of giving you an update on some things that we have been hearing on the coaching front. And it always happens this way, Landrum, being around these coaching searches, not only from Alabama and Auburn's perspective, but just around the Southeastern Conference, because you hit a certain portion of the coaching search in which the rumors really start taking control of the I guess the conversation. Not only on message boards, but on sports talk shows. People text us in some crazy ideas, some crazy rumors and things of that nature. And last night it was at a fever pitch for all four of these Southeastern Conference schools that are currently looking for a head coach.
Well, you start following these coaching searches and you feel good about maybe where they're going, and then people start connecting the dots and they get creative. Remember back in the day when it was we would track planes. And I know people will still track planes.
Flight tracker.
And oh my gosh, why is the plane from this university stopping in wherever in the middle of nowhere? And then you start connecting dots about potential candidates and geographically how it all matches up. But you're right, it does. But in some cases, I think that it's deliberate. I do think that in some cases, not necessarily these cases, but you're trying to throw off the scent, and you want to put smoke out there, and you want to say, hey, look over here, and it ultimately ends up being the guy that most people thought it was going to be.
Well, I'll never forget what happened between Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, that
was a good one.
That was an incredible bait and switch, because you kept hearing Lincoln Riley to LSU, Lincoln Riley to LSU. Then finally Lincoln Riley came out and said, I'm not going to LSU. He didn't say that he wasn't going anywhere else. He specifically said, I'm not going to LSU.
Yeah.
And then he went to USC.
Yep.
Which that was a great bait and switch there. So we'll get into some of that. It is kind of farcical when you start thinking and hearing about some of these rumors on the coaching front. So we'll talk a little bit about what we've heard, again, for a pure entertainment purpose only. Not that we're reporting it. But
if even one of these was to happen, then
it's chaos and we're all laughing and your mind is blown. But we start with the college football playoff last night. Really no big shock, in which the top five pretty much stayed the same. I guess if you're in Oxford, Mississippi, you're a little irritated because you beat somebody 49-0. Granted, it was an FCS school, but you dropped. So, I'm sure Lane Kiffin will have a comment or two about that at some point today. But Alabama still slated at the number 4 position, which means, based on last night's college football rankings, they would await the winner of South Florida and Georgia. That would be a fascinating game. You don't like that?
No, and I had some people on Twitter last night that were, tweeting at me like, oh, I don't really like either of those matchups for Alabama. The good news is the odds of Alabama staying at 4 are very slim, right? Because you'll either win the SEC championship,
correct,
move up, or you won't win the SEC championship.
And you might fall.
But you're probably then hosting a first-round game.
I did think that Mack Rhodes last night did a pretty good job of explaining, whether you agree with the points that he made or not, Pat. I thought he did a good job of at least breaking it down and letting college football fans know these are the things that we're really paying attention to. He talked about strength of record. He talked about strength of schedule, but he also talked about specifically offenses and red zone offense or defenses. And he's throwing out individual things that we have not seen or heard from past committee members. Now, again, you might say, well, he's full of crap. Still, eye test tells me it's this team, but at least I think he's giving out some of the things that they're picking up on in that meeting room.
Well, and I think the funniest part to me was something you just mentioned there, is when he was talking about Texas Tech, and Reese had asked him, is there the potential for Texas Tech to move up over a Georgia or Alabama, a one-loss SEC team? And his comment was, well, offensively, they kick too many field goals in the red zone, which, again, that's a fair data point. It's just funny that that's the one that they chose to stand out for why Texas Tech is not ahead of Georgia and Alabama. But at least I would much rather hear that than, man, Michigan, when they played Maryland, the way they controlled that game was so impressive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it should have been. Who cares?
Yeah.
So Mac Rhodes was asked about the difference between Texas Tech and Ole Miss, why Texas Tech jumped Ole Miss. This is a direct quote. This was in the post-television press conference that Mac Rhodes had. He said, probably the longest discussion that we had in the room was Texas Tech and Ole Miss. Texas Tech's win just recently this past week against BYU, really convincing both sides of the ball. Texas Tech defensively really, really good. Offensively moves the ball up and down the field, kicks some field goals, so probably left some points off the board, but really looked at Texas Tech's two top 13 wins, BYU and Utah. Ole Miss had the one win, a really good win at Oklahoma, also a win against LSU, but Texas Tech highly regarded by the committee.
Well, in this particular case for these two teams, and I love the SEC as much as you guys do, but there's not a whole lot of difference, in my opinion, between Texas Tech and Ole Miss.
No, Ole Miss better offensively, Texas Tech better defensively.
I think
Pick
both
your poison.
both deserve to be in the college football playoff. I want those to be two of the 12 teams that I see competing. But right now, there's like a frog hairs of difference, maybe.
So for y'all, let's say Texas Tech, they go 12-1, win the Big 12 championship. Do you think that will be enough to get them into one of the first round buys, or do you think it'll stay where it is now, where you would have the loser of the SEC title game and the loser of the Big Ten staying in the top? Because that's how it is right now, right? It's two Big Ten and two SEC teams.
Well, obviously, it's going to change each week. Your data points are going to be improved based on who you play or who you don't play. But if you just look at last night's strength of schedule, Ohio State is 41. Number 2, Indiana, they're 33rd. Texas A&M, who is 3rd, they're 15. And see, that's where the big rub comes, because Texas A&M, for the strength of schedule, all these metrics have Texas A&M better, much better than Indiana and Ohio State, but they're still ranked number 3. Bama is got the 6th toughest schedule, according to the College Football Playoff Committee, the 6th, but they're coming in ranked 4th.
Yeah.
Georgia's 11. Texas Tech is 48. So that's my point. Like, how many more data points is Texas Tech going to be able to grab? Meanwhile, you've got SEC teams that you're going to have to play the SEC championship, which will be a large data point that's going to help them out big time.
Well, the answer to that is they're not going to have any with the regular season.
Correct.
You got Central Florida, and then you have West Virginia at the end of the year, so it would have to be the championship game.
And after the broadcast, right, they go and do another Q&A section.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions that Mac Rhodes was asked was, how do you view a loser of a conference championship game? And he specifically said last night that they view that as a positive, because you made the conference title game. So even if you lose, it is not something that will hurt you unless
You get blown out.
you lose by 30, 40 points.
Yeah, his exact quote was, could it hurt you by losing in the game? He says, if it was a game where it wasn't competitive and you completely got blown away, then that would be in the conversation, candidly in the room amongst the committee. So unless you go and pull an Alabama against Oklahoma last year, then all of a sudden it's really something that they don't even look at.
Yeah, and so that's why I think unless there's changes between now and then, very likely that you do see those 4 teams still be the SEC champion and runner-up in the Big Ten champion.
So right now we would get the rematch of what we just got with Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12 championship game.
If that's, I do not have the standings in front of me. I assume that's probably the likelihood.
Yeah, because BYU, what they have left is, well, not necessarily, because they still have Cincinnati left, and Cincinnati's right there at the top as well.
I was about to say, I think that's the belief. It'll be either Texas Tech, Cincinnati, or Texas Tech, BYU.
The funniest scenario, though, the funniest one, as of this moment, is let's say Miami goes 10-2, and then they miss the ACC championship game. But then they get an at-large bid based on their numbers. So then you would have the ACC champ potentially being ranked behind Miami.
Well, Duke very well may win the ACC championship and have 8 wins.
So if the ACC champ is ranked behind the 2 G5 conference champions, and they're outside the top 12. Miami makes it without winning the ACC, but they're 10-2.
And then that's the scenario that I think y'all brought up yesterday of potentially a James Madison or somebody stealing that 5th conference championship.
Where's Mike Griffith when you need him?
Yeah. Mike Griffith nailed it yesterday with some of the things that he said about the CFP.
I was about to say, I was texting Pat last night. I don't know if you caught it, but on his interview yesterday, he brought up the idea of, well, why are we nitpicking against Texas A&M for playing a Missouri team without their quarterback, but yet Purdue, we're just acting like they're great with their starting quarterback. And what did they say last night? They discredited Texas A&M's win over Missouri because they said this is not the same Missouri team without their starting quarterback.
Yep.
Spot on.
They're watching.
So we like to look at this and compare it. It was uncanny last year. If you looked at the old BCS rankings and you put it to what the CFP was putting out every Tuesday, it was almost identical. And so I was looking at the simulated BCS for this year and what the College Football Playoff Committee decided to release last night. The top 5 teams are exactly the same. So the old BCS formula, the old computer formula, and what the CFP released last night was exactly the same, 1 through 5. Here comes the difference. At number 6, the BCS would have had Oregon, whereas the College Football Playoff Committee has Texas Tech. So there's that difference. And then basically at number 7, both the BCS and CFP had Ole Miss. So even though if Ole Miss fans feel like that they were dissed last night by the CFP, the computer numbers on the old BCS would have them at 7. And then the flip-flop of Texas Tech in the BCS would be at number 8, whereas they were 6, and then Oregon was 8 in the College Football Playoff rankings. That really was the only differences that you had in the top 10 in regards to the old BCS formula and what you saw last night.
I think the Ole Miss fan base will probably be the least vocal as far as the outcry about complaining about a college football playoff berth seeding. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because their biggest fear right now is just don't.
Just
it's right
screw
there.
up.
And I thought Reese Davis made a great point last night when he brought up the fact of if there's one team you look at right now and go, that team is pretty much, if they don't trip over themselves, locked into hosting a first-round playoff game, it's Ole Miss, right? Because you have Florida, Mississippi State. You should be able to get through those pretty easily, but you're not going to have to worry about playing an extra game in Atlanta probably. So you're really firm in that 6, 7, 8, 9 range if you're Ole Miss, right? Just go take care of your business, and you're going to have a game in Oxford.
I'm predicting the Egg Bowl will be epic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had a lot of good Egg Bowls. It's not like it's a huge stretch, but I think these particular teams, the way it's setting up this year, it's going to be really, really good.
So we asked the audience, because I saw a lot of fervor last night on social media. Texas A&M people feel like they were dissed. They believe that they have the metrics where they should be the number 1 team in the country. So we asked Molly today on our Twitter poll question.
Yeah, how do you view Texas A&M being number 3 in the new college football playoff rankings? Are they overrated, underrated, or just right? And right now winning is just right with about 51%, 35% saying they're underrated, and about 14% saying they're overrated.
And it will all take care of itself. I mean, I think that's where everyone is starting to get in the mindset of the NFL, whereas like, you know what, getting all upset and having this digestive issues because my team is not here, it's going to play itself out over the next couple weeks. This is really early in the process. Now, if we're 2 weeks from now, then all of a sudden I think some fan bases might start getting a little bit nervous about their potential or where they could be, maybe on the cut line. But I think right now, I think everybody's kind of holding firm and they believe, okay, our team's good enough. It'll take care of itself.
Well, that's part of the draw of that Sunday, unless it gets scooped and tweeted out early, like we got last year with Brett McMurphy getting to the party early and letting everybody know who was in.
Yeah, that did kind of ruin the fun last year. I will say I think next week's rankings will be potentially more interesting because you've got some big games this weekend, right? With Alabama and Oklahoma. If Alabama wins, Oklahoma's probably done for, but what if, that would really upset the apple cart. Same thing if Texas knocks off Georgia, right? So we might have some more clarity or we might have some more chaos, but I think next week's rankings will have a little more intrigue to them.
There's more parity now than we have ever seen. So parity has absolutely settled into college football. When you look at, because I still, while Ohio State's really, really good, I don't see this Ohio State being head and shoulders better than most of the field like they were last year.
I would agree with that. But I can also understand, right? You're undefeated. You're the defending national champion. you're going to be number one until someone knocks you
Yeah.
off. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, you don't want to get caught in the cold, so schedule your system checkup now from a Train comfort specialist. Train has been recognized for 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. So go and visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
All right, so what about all these rumors we heard last night? Crazy rumors around college football, especially in the Southeastern Conference. We'll get into that next on this Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. We're talking about all those poisonous message boards. Not Tighter Insider.
No.
Not Tighter Insider. Not Rodney's site. But all these other places that you go to try to find out what the very latest is. So many people come up to us at Social Taco on Tuesdays. Oh, hey, did you hear this? I saw this on this message board.
Saw the cat droppings.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. Yesterday, I don't know.
Kitty litter.
I don't know what the deal was, but it was every single time you turned around. Somebody was texting me a crazy rumor, and then somebody would send me a link to a message board. I was listening to the Damian Mitchell show this morning with special guest Conrad Van Order, and they were reading some text messages, some crazy rumors that were out there about Auburn. So we thought we would spend a couple minutes, and once again, for entertainment purposes only, we're not reporting this. We're just telling you some of the crazy things that we're hearing. Hey, listen, they might end up.
Hey, so you're
coming
saying there's
true.
a chance?
Well, sure, there's a chance because all coaches are liars. So as long as they're liars, you never know where you stand. We're going to start with this one. And not that this is a rumor disseminated by Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio, but Landrum brought it up yesterday. The Vegas line now, the best line, 2-1 odds that Nick Saban is going to go to LSU. This is what Matt Moscona said on his show yesterday.
Coach with the best odds to be the LSU next head football coach is Nick Saban. Not just on the list, at the top of the list. I get it. Miss Terry doesn't want him to coach anymore. Nick wants to stay retired. I get it. There's the videos of him sitting in a recliner and Miss Terry telling him to get up so they could sing happy birthday to him. Looking like a decrepit old man. I get it. What do they know? Everyone I talk to says, Nick ain't coming. Okay, I believe you. I still don't think it's going to happen. You can show me 2-1 odds? Nick Saban, the betting favorite to be LSU's next coach? You have my attention. Because what that tells me is there is at least enough interest where he is listening, and you might be able to find a guy who will make an impulsive decision and jump back in at some point.
Okay. That kind of got the whole conversation going last night on social media. Oh, I like the music. Was this like a circus?
Step right up.
That's exactly right, Pat.
It's a circus out there. It's a coaching circus carousel.
Have you ever been to a actual circus, like the tent, the traveling
Absolutely.
circus? I have too.
Absolutely. Sure have.
I had to go do a story when I was working for TV in college, and they had one of those traveling circuses, much different than the one that I was exposed to at the BJCC as a kid.
Yeah, I would imagine so. All right, so
A little creepy.
Saban 2-1 odds of going to LSU. Does anybody in this room and on this show believe that there is an iota chance of that happening?
No.
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 I think Hugh Freeze has a better chance.
He's 74 years old. As Matt Moscona just said, he looks like a decrepit old man sitting in his recliner.
That's a little harsh.
It was harsh, but
We can all look decrepit at certain positions in our chairs and times of the day.
I don't know why Vegas, and keep in mind, Vegas will always try to put an odd out there and try to get equal play on both sides.
Yeah.
So by bringing his name up, that was just continues to be a bizarro in my world.
Well, if I'm an LSU fan and I'm looking at Nick Saban and then Lane Kiffin, if I'm being honest with myself, those are two throwaway bets. I don't think either one of those is going to happen. I don't think they're even close to happening.
Again, don't think it's going to happen. In the hypothetical world that it does happen, is this a bigger story than when he retired?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, this would be massive. Massive.
Go back to the place that they burned you in effigy?
I would be personally distraught, but I would also be like, it would be awesome from a storyline perspective.
All right, that was the LSU wild rumor. Let's kind of hone in on Auburn for a second. Caught my attention this morning on the Conrad Van Order. What is it? Is it a podcast? Is it a show? Are y'all actually on the air? What y'all do?
Yes, Pat.
Okay.
Yes.
It's an infomercial.
Infomercial. So someone on the text line this morning, on the Courtesy GMC text line, they actually threw up the Indiana coach.
That is correct because so we So we talked about it yesterday, right? John Cohen was doing all of these different interviews, and he did one in particular with Mike Giddens, who we had on the show on Monday from the War Report. And he mentioned yesterday in some of his interviews, right, they've interviewed 7 or 8 sitting head coaches. And while he didn't name specific names, we had somebody that texted in this morning and was saying he's not talking about John Summerall. If you really listen close to him, he's talking about how money's not going to be an obstacle, and that could only mean one thing, that Auburn is pursuing Kurt Cignetti to be their next head coach.
I have not heard Kurt Cignetti's name for Auburn.
I hadn't until this morning. I don't think that one's going to happen.
If you want to get more exotic, maybe a guy that you couldn't hire right after the Iron Bowl, is not contending for a college football playoff spot, making a lot of money, and it's a big name, but you kind of forget about him. How about Lincoln Riley?
That has more legs to me than Kurt Cignetti.
Me too.
He knows how to develop a quarterback.
You don't
Offense.
have to worry about that.
Now you just got to pair him with a defensive coordinator.
So
Where are you going to
based
find
on-
one of those that you could pay a whole lot of money to?
And a grill master.
So based on what was said by John Cohen in these interviews. The texter believed
that John Cohen was inferring that maybe Curt Cignetti was a name that, again, John Cohen didn't list any names, but this listener.
Well, at this clip, Cignetti's going to make the college football playoff every year he's in Indiana. Look at the rest of the Big Ten.
That is true.
Looking good for them.
He might have the best team in the Big Ten.
And he just signed if I'm not mistaken, was it fully guaranteed contract?
Yes. He's got John Cougar Mellencamp stroking part of that check.
So on one of the Florida message boards last night, a so-called insider, I use air quotes there, said that John Gruden has been seen discussing the potential job opening with some very big boosters at the University of Florida, and that he currently is number one for that job. Once again, this segment is for entertainment purposes only. We're just telling you some of the crazy things that we've come across. And I'm not saying that John Gruden wouldn't ultimately maybe be the coach at Florida, but it just
crazy
as
names
of this moment is just interesting.
But of all the crazy names and all the jobs that are open, that's the one that I would actually entertain more than any of the others that we mentioned.
John Gruden, Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny. I'd heard John Gruden's name mentioned for another job yesterday.
And it leads us to the final SEC school that has an opening, and that is the Arkansas Razorbacks. Apparently, Brandon Walker from the Barstool.
Yeah.
He's a big State fan.
Yeah. He got everything rolling last night. What was his paraphrasing? What did he say in regards to the Arkansas job?
Let me find it real quick. It was something about, insinuating that they were going to make a big splash with whoever their coaching hire was. So this was the exact tweet from Brandon Walker last night. Oh my goodness, Arkansas football. Wow is all I can say. That would be impressive. That has been viewed 1.3 million times.
So that really got everybody going. Like everybody was like, okay, what are we talking about here? John Gruden's name.
That was a popular one I heard.
That was a very popular one. But as of this morning, Conrad reached out to someone in Arkansas, and they told you a name that will really blow your mind.
Yes, they did. If John Gruden didn't blow your mind, I also heard James Franklin's name thrown out last night. That was another popular
That's not going to
rumor.
blow your mind.
No,
Just
it's
wait.
not. But this one might. How about a good old boy from the state of Alabama by the name of Dabo Sweeney?
The wildest of the wild. Dabo Sweeney leaving Clemson, South Carolina for Fayetteville, Arkansas.
And let me clarify, the person I talked to was not telling me this from them. They were saying, I have been receiving text messages about this name, and that name was Dabo Sweeney for Arkansas.
This is the most vulnerable he's probably been emotionally in quite some time. He's going to have to gut the whole building, fire a lot of good friends. You don't feel like you're being appreciated. Walmart, they appreciate you.
See, maybe this is what would get Dabo to use the portal, though, because he could bring some Clemson guys with him to another destination. And you go, wow, oh, you can just do this? Why haven't I been taking advantage of this for the last 5 years?
And get ready, folks, because we just gave you an example, just a small snippet of what is being said out there around different SEC media circles.
And again, nobody really expected Nick Saban in Alabama. Nobody really expected Bill Belichick to be a legitimate name for North Carolina and then to actually accept the job. We've got examples of this, but some of those are just, you never know, though.
And isn't that what makes it great? Is that the craziest names you could think of, while very unlikely, I think at this point we would all agree nothing really surprises you that much in college athletics anymore. So you can feel like you could make an argument.
Okay,
for why it would happen.
As we finish this segment.
It feels like, real quick, does it not feel like the floor for if you've been at a Power 4 school and your name, the floor for your salary per year is $10 million?
Yes.
Feels that way now.
That's the new base.
Mm-hmm. So Molly was just perusing VolQuest, which is a very famous Tennessee website and message board They've got some interesting news, right?
This was just posted in the last hour. Says, my buddy that's a high-ranking booster texted me this morning and said that the Archie, AD, and Dabo spoke in heavy conversations last night. Said that a lot of the Clemson brass would be rattled but not scared.
There you have it, VolQuest. They poster on VolQuest. Broke the news right
Who are
there.
they going to go after when Heupel goes to LSU?
Maybe Greg Schiano again?
Jeremy, hey, about what happened?
Our bad.
Whoops.
That McDonald's bag of $60,000, that's nothing
It's
now.
nothing now.
Yeah. Come on back. We'll triple that for you.
You know what we would have to catch you doing now to fire you for cause?
I don't know. Just ask Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
All right, 15 minutes away from talking to Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, Vegas Insider. We'll get to your text messages. Texts are coming in on the Courtesy GMC text line at 1-800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. Last night in college basketball, the Auburn Tigers, easy win over Wofford. I wish I could say the same for the UAB Blazers.
Oh.
For the first time in the history of the UAB basketball program, they lose to a SWAC team. Alabama State, who played in the NCAA tournament last year, won a game in the NCAA tournament. They knock off UAB by 3 points last night down at Bartow Arena. So, tough start for the Blazers, 1-2. And they have another tough game Friday night against High Point. That was an NCAA tournament team last year.
Is that the campus that has the
Yes.
steakhouse?
Oh, yeah. That's where you can go and learn fine dining.
And also ice cream, right? Free ice cream
Free
on
ice cream.
campus.
That's right.
Yeah, they're making the return trip. UAB played up there last year, and this year they're coming to Bartow Friday night.
Didn't Auburn play Alabama State in the tournament last year?
Yeah.
In the second round or whatever, first round technically. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a pretty good game for a half.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, of course, a big one coming up for the Tide, taking on Purdue
Thursday
tomorrow.
night. Yeah.
Yep.
And then
And
Auburn's got
Coleman.
Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And they flip flopped. Houston's now number 1 and Purdue's now number 2.
Yep.
Jock's text line is open, 205-834-9450. Going back to the last segment we had on just crazy coaching rumors you're hearing and speculation. For some of these jobs, not only the SEC, but across college football. But going back to the rankings from last night, this one reads, preseason rankings are why Ohio State and Indiana are ahead of Texas A&M. They're also helping Oregon. They matter because it sinks into your thoughts that a team was ranked high to start. There's some of that.
I agree with what they said about Oregon. I think Oregon's getting a little bit, not saying they don't deserve to be in the top 12, but I mean, their best. The Iowa win's a good win, but that's all they have.
I'm still guilty of it too, and I admitted it yesterday on the show. I have a hard time. Now, Texas A&M is really, really good. This is the best Texas A&M team that I can remember. But I still have hesitation and pause because of past years, which has nothing to do with this coach or this team, but there's an inherent bias.
Well, and I thought you brought up a very interesting point in one of the breaks to us, and that was you're talking about when you look at the landscape of the college football playoff, a lot of these teams have kids playing the quarterback position that are very young. I mean, you look at Ty Simpson, like as great as he's been, he's played 9 games of college football as a starter. Julian Sayin in the same boat. Mendoza's played more, right? But this is the first time he's really had pressure on him.
Think about the rest of the field.
It just makes things a little more interesting because what's going to happen when these guys have their back against the wall, maybe for the first time in their season?
Because last year you had guys like, was it Dylan Gabriel? Or Trinidad Chambliss is going to be potentially part of this.
Yeah, you had
Marcel
Klubnik,
Reed.
you had Carson Beck, you had Will Howard, who had been around the block, you had Drew Aller, the guy at Notre Dame. Like you had a lot of Riley Leonard.
He was still a veteran. Ewers.
Klubnik. Yeah, like these were all guys that had been multi-year starters, and now you don't have that.
Yeah, you had veteran quarterback play. You got some of that, but not as much as we think we're going to get.
Correct.
With the college football playoff contenders. Next one comes in. It says, can you imagine Kiffin showing recruits' parents screenshot of one of Gruden's emails?
I mean, that's something that he would have to have an answer for.
Could you imagine somebody showing a screenshot of some of Lane's text?
Fair point.
Justin asking, what about Freeze to Arkansas?
I think Arkansas has higher hopes than that.
He did beat them.
He did beat them. That's right.
2 out of 3 times.
What was it last year? We played that team. We beat him 9 out of 10 times. Well, he got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So close.
Here's some advice from one of our listeners. People need to stop speculating on who Auburn is going to get. If they're going to get a real talented head coach, they need to look back and say, hey, it's Auburn done in the past. It'll be gone in 3 years. That's exactly what they're going to do. So people need to stop with a wish list and get real and come up with 3 or 4 names that you would hate to see that you've never heard of before, and that's who the coach will be.
What are they saying?
Sorry.
That whoever it is, they're just going to be fired in 3 years, so it doesn't matter who they get?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's why this coaching search is very important because you don't want to be in that situation yet again.
Drake is a big Florida fan. He's asking, guys, what is Lane's odds of being the next Florida head coach? Right now, he is currently minus 300. He is the favorite. Behind him is Eli Drinkwitz and then James Franklin. Is Elko the coach of the year right now? Signetti. Are we talking SEC?
I was about to say, I think in the SEC, it would be between him and DeBoer and Clark Lee.
Yeah, Clark Lee would be a good one. But
So
I think
it'll all be very
Elko
good.
probably gets the nod just because of history.
If they go undefeated, he's going to get it. Absolutely. And he should. He should.
Get over your A&M hate. Don't hate A&M. Just stating facts. The Aggies' 6 SEC opponents have a total of 4 second-half possessions when they've had the opportunity to take the lead. 3 of those were against Auburn in their first SEC game. The Aggies are destroying people. They're a nightmare matchup for Bama if both teams make the SEC championship. Not Texas A&M hate. I was brutally honest. Do you hate Texas A&M?
Yeah, I do actually. But I can also acknowledge that they're a very good football team this year.
Not a huge Lashley fan, but it's going to be Lashley with Dirk and bet. That text reads. Auburn's going to pay SMU's asking price. All right. End the search now. 205-834-9450. Keep the text coming in. We'll continue to read throughout the program.
Absolutely. Brian Edwards joins us next from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. It is 10:45. Welcome back. This is Three Man Front on this. What's today? Wednesday? I always think it's already Thursday. I don't know why.
It is in China.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, the international date line. Well, let's find out the very latest from the Florida coaching search. If John Gruden has already been named the Gators head coach, with Brian Edwards, the famed Florida Gator fan, alum, He joins the program now from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. Tell us what's going on. I mean, is it Gruden? Is it going to be Kiffin? What's the latest? I'm tired of waiting on Florida.
I know I've been real boring with my responses the last couple of weeks, but all I'll say is that I am starting to feel pretty good about our chances to get Kiffin. I hope the Giants don't, with the Jackson Dart connection. I hope they don't try to jump into the fray.
Okay, now I'm not calling you on the carpet. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What has given you a little bit more optimism, so to speak, that it potentially could be Kiffin?
Again, like, he trolls everybody. He trolls Ole Miss fan base. He trolls Florida's fan base. He trolls everybody, you know. I mean, he's Spurrier with Twitter. So maybe he's trolling, but I mean, some of his quotes have been sort of interesting and you know, have sort of I mean, I think he was out the door and on his way to Auburn until his daughter kind of talked him out of it, you know, whatever that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
I don't know. And like, you remember how, like, I felt like he sabotaged the Egg Bowl that year by, like, not shooting down the Auburn rumors, et cetera. And I just feel like he's doing the same thing. Now, maybe he'll end up staying again, but I don't know. And the betting markets, I mean, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Bet Online had him up to a -300 favorite to you know, get the Florida job.
Hey, explain that to us, though, Brian, because we know they're trying to get money on both sides. But
right,
with some of these names, where are they getting this?
Yeah, like Nick Saban, 2-1 at LSU. Now, come on.
Right. Yeah. No. Some of it. Look, and I think they have minimums. I think they have minimums at Bet Online that you can bet on those. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying you should take it as like, oh, they got great information or anything. I'm going to Kalshi. Have y'all heard of that? KALSHI. That new betting market. I'm going to see if they've got odds right now.
While you're doing that, because here's an example. As I'm looking at Bet Online. I'm looking at the specials they have under NCAA football. I look at LSU and I look at Florida. I look at the first couple of names that are listed for those jobs, and I don't see them as realistic, as opposed to Arkansas. I see Ryan Silverfield, the coach at Memphis, being the odds-on favorite. I think that's realistic. I feel like Eric Morris, the North Texas coach, that'd be a really good get for Oklahoma State. He's the odds-on favorite there. John Summerall, that's been a name that's been mentioned with Auburn since the beginning. He's the odds-on favorite, but I feel like maybe they just have no idea where LSU or Florida are going.
Yeah, and then look, they want you to make that whatever $10 bet on Nick Saban to go to LSU. They want to take that money from you. Again, I'm not trying to lend too much credence to the validity of Bet Online's coaching odds. I'm trying to find the betting market from Kalshi.
Yeah, I'm on it now, and I can't find any coaches.
I can't either.
I have
maybe they've taken it down.
Yeah, everything else under the
This
sun.
Poly Market, do they offer anything on this?
The what now?
The Poly Market that we watched during the election. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not. I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. So again, I'm just speculating. I don't have any good info or anything. I'm just starting to feel pretty good about our chances.
Okay. Well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with
That's
that.
exactly what Lane wants you to do.
I know. Maybe he's trolling.
It's all about
me.
the chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this weekend. A big one at 2:30, Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama currently around a 6-point favorite against a very good Oklahoma team. Please tell us you got a side here that you would like to wager on.
Yeah, I like Alabama here. I know that Bama's really, really struggling to run the ball, but they keep cashing tickets for me. And look, I think I don't want to say anybody else, I think I gave way too much credence to Oklahoma's defense, with the great numbers and stats they were producing when they were facing offenses such as Michigan and offenses such as Auburn and Kent State, et cetera. We've really seen Oklahoma against two elite offenses, and that would be Ole Miss and Tennessee. And Tennessee just beat itself a couple of weeks ago. I mean, Tennessee had 28 first downs, 456 yards of offense, but they coughed up 3 turnovers, including the scoop and score. And, Mateer, since the surgery, he's got 2 touchdown passes compared to 4 interceptions. He's thrown for 202, 150, 223, and 159. in those 4 games. Alabama is now 12-0 straight up, 10-2 against the spread in 12 home games under DeBoer. They've ripped off 8 in a row. Ty Simpson 21-1 TD-INT ratio. I just think I made the spread 10 and it's 6. Let's go, Mama.
All right, another game that we're looking at this weekend out of the ACC, Florida State. They have a hard time beating teams from their own conference. They host Virginia Tech, who is searching for a new head coach. The 2-touchdown line, though, even with Florida State playing at home, I don't trust Florida State in an inter-squad game. What do you think, Brian, about this particular matchup and the Hokies going there and maybe making this one interesting?
Well, you're right about Norvell not being very good against the ACC. 2-12 straight up, last 14 ACC games. The last 9 games, they've been a double-digit favorite against FBS foes. That's taken out a couple of covers against FCS teams, but against FBS foes, double-digit favorite. The Noles 2-7 against the spread with 4 outright losses. And, the Hokies, look, they were up 16-7 on Louisville 2 weeks ago at halftime. Obviously, they ended up losing 28-16. But they have had 2 weeks to prepare, and the Noles have not. And, more coaching, hot seat speculation this week. I think Norvell's a lame duck. Obviously the Hokies don't have a coach either, but give me the Hokies plus 14.
All right, Louisville is a 3-point favorite against Clemson. Clemson coming off a big win against Florida State.
Yeah. Look, Louisville, obviously, poor effort last week, big time. But they're in bounce back mode. Their only losses this year have been in overtime. Short week, and that favors the home team. They don't have to travel. I think Louisville bounces back. Give me the Cards -3 at home.
All right, another game. This one coming out of the SEC. Missouri trying to bounce back after they took a lump last weekend to Texas A&M. They host Mississippi State. A little bit tricky with the line. A lot of people loving State as the dog in a lot of their games this season. But Missouri's been really tough at home, last week being the exception.
Yeah, and I've been one of those people that's like Mississippi State as an underdog, but they did not come through for me last week, and they got run all over. Georgia ran the ball right down their throat all night, and Missouri 8th in the nation in rushing yards. And even though they were very, very, very one-dimensional last week, they still ran for 207 yards against A&M. I think they're just going to run it, and I don't think Mississippi State can stop it. And Missouri's got a good defense, and Mississippi State number 110 in the nation against the run. Missouri 8th in rushing yards. I think that's the matchup that's going to be the difference. Ahmad Hardy and Roberts running the ball against Mississippi State. I'll lay the 7 with Mizzou. If your number's 7.5, I'd buy the half point to 7.
All right, give us a couple of NFL games, a couple that might jump off the page to you for this weekend.
All right, let's fade the Jags. Trevor Lawrence is not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL a whole lot longer. I know we're coming across the country here with the Chargers, so that's okay. Let's lay the 2.5 or 3 with the Chargers. And both of these teams are just playing dynamite right now. Talking about Seattle and L.A., both are hot. Can't say anything bad about the Seahawks, but I'll take the Rams at home -3. And I got to wait for injuries on a bunch of these games.
Okay.
So I'm leaning Bengals +5 or 5.5 against the Steelers, but want to get some injury info on that.
So have you completely just written off your Falcons and your Commanders this year from a betting perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I bet against the Commanders last week. I had Detroit.
What?
And,
that's like the first time in like 2 years that you've gone against them.
I know. Well, Jaden's out, so I don't have any guilty conscience or anything. And Detroit rolled, and Detroit's my other side squad. Or Washington's off the side
Oh, wait a
squad.
second. So now you're jumping on the Detroit bandwagon, you and Molly.
Well, hold on. I've been on the Detroit bandwagon for a couple of years.
I'm just kidding. It's a joke. All right. Well, listen, text me about when the Lane Kiffin press conference is. Okay. I want to make sure I don't miss it.
Don't hold your breath. But, yeah. All right, fellas. Thanks for having me. Y'all have a great weekend.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Always love having Brian on from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. Does it free. He comes on, just tells us what he thinks. Awesome segment. Appreciate Brian very much. The voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart, is next.